What is going on, guys? I am Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. And with me, as always, are the greatest co hosts in the world, Mike the Pig Crum and Brenden Fergy Smith. Gentlemen, how are you?
Look at
Awesome.
my face. It looks like I was just told a joke because I can't get it to calm. I'm
We are
ready.
all fanboying tonight, man. Our guest tonight is going to be something special. We're really looking forward to tonight's discussion.
Yes, very much.
Thank you, Brenden, for organizing and getting our guest on tonight, man.
I was just happy he said yes. I
Yes,
was
sir.
just
Well, so we can reveal our guest. Brenden, where can we find you on Twitter?
at Brenden_Smith 26.
Mike, where can we find you?
CD Piglet, guys, nice and easy.
I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest tonight needs no introduction. Please welcome the one and only Mr. Kyle Yeomans to the show. Kyle, how are you?
What's going on, gentlemen? Hey, this is a nice warm welcome to training camp. This means we're really in the middle of football season. We're ready to go now.
Yes, sir.
I'm
Yes, sir.
so
Thank you so much for
excited.
coming on tonight, man.
What are you laughing at, Brenden?
Me.
You laughing
I
at
can
Mike?
laugh.
Laughing at me.
I can laugh in general.
Oh.
Prepare yourself, Kyle. Prepare yourself. This goes on every week.
I can't wait. Can't wait. Yeah, good
Kyle,
to be
for
with you guys. Good to talk some football.
Yes, sir. And for those who don't know, where can we find you on Twitter, sir?
Right. I'm not a weatherman. Right here at
Yeah.
Kyle_Yeomans is right where you can find me, and Instagram. I'm going to be a lot more active on Instagram this year. That's a big goal of mine. Usually it's just baby pictures and stuff on there at the moment, but there's going to be a little bit more cowboy stuff along with baby pictures, and then that's on Twitter too. So got a couple of good things coming your way on that one.
Did you name the triplets Michael, Emmett, and Troy, Kyle, or what's the
We
name there?
so we have two boys and a girl, and they are triplets for those that don't know. And yeah, we do have a Michael. We don't have a Troy, and we thought about maybe doing like an Emmy, like naming her Emmy or something
Yeah.
like that. So it would have been something fun. No, we have a Michael. Family name, just kind of separate, and it worked out that way. Irvin, I did tell Mike Irvin, and he's pumped like to have it, and he thinks it's for that reason, which it's not, Mike. I'm sorry, but yeah, we're excited about having the triplets. I felt like when we got that news, it was like the most Cowboys TV host thing you could possibly do. It's just par for the course. So that was my reaction, and that was everybody else's reaction in the building too.
I love the subtle flex of when I told Michael Irvin about it, he was like, "Oh, that's cool."
No, the subtle flex would be me telling you that Dak always asks about the triplets.
Oh, that's a double good.
That's the actual flex, because his daughter,
That's amazing.
His daughter MJ was born one day before our triplets were. So we were in not the same hospital, but in the same time period. Wow. And then our babies, so two of them spent 53 days in the NICU, and then Michael actually spent 84 days in the NICU. And I was seeing Dak at this time pretty often, just off-season gigs and different events and stuff. And Dak was so intertwined with it, and he would ask me how my wife was doing, ask me how the babies were doing, and then he would call Mikey, who, of course, Michael for us or for anybody else, but he would call Mikey his little fighter, because he was the one that he had a kind of a heart condition and was in the hospital a little bit longer. So yeah, always appreciate Dak and the love that he had and showed for our family in that time. But yeah, some cool stuff with the triplets and getting the babies some notable time for sure.
Absolutely. Well, it's a big week here for the Cowboys as training camp is going to start. And what better way to head into training camp with the fireworks show that was the press conference today with Jerry Jones and Schottenheimer and Stephen Jones. We'll probably touch on that, but I am kind of curious, Kyle, somebody working with the Cowboys and your relationship with the Cowboys, how did you become a Cowboys fan?
Oh man, I've always been a Cowboys fan, and it doesn't always work out in our business. In this crazy media world where you get to work for your favorite team, it just happened to work for us, and that was the cool thing about the opportunity that I got. I mean, I grew up in Waco, Texas, was a part of a sports family, played football, basketball, baseball growing up. And I was better at baseball and basketball than I was at football, but I loved football. I loved the film study aspect. I loved the preparation element. I just wasn't very good at hitting people. I was big. Like, I mean, I'm 6'3", 225 now to still, like, I'm a big dude, but I never could hit people the right way. Like, I just never could figure it out. So wasn't very good at football. I could hit a baseball though, so I was fine at baseball. And so grew up in a sports family. So in Waco, you kind of are in the middle of Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. So you kind of get to choose your sports teams. You've got Baylor in town. Of course, Baylor University and college football was always a big love of mine growing up. But you tend to gravitate toward Houston or Dallas or San Antonio when it comes to these sports teams. And I gravitated toward Dallas for all my sports teams. The Rangers were up there. The Cowboys were number one. Of course, you've got the Mavs that I loved in 2011. That world title that they won with Dirk was incredible. The 2006 run to the finals was incredible. The Stars, like I was never really a big hockey fan until I moved up here. So that's where I grew up. I grew up wearing the Cowboys star on my baby clothes and my toddler clothes, and it just always was ingrained into who I was. And so when I got the opportunity to work for the Cowboys, it made it really easy. I was like, I'm going to the star, and I'm going to give it my all. And I try my best every day to make it seem like to the listeners and to the fans that I care as much as I do, because I care a lot. And I take pride in the type of content that we put out as a team and the type of way that we cover the team in a very objective way, both good and bad. We're going to have to cover it either way. And I feel like we do a good job of that as a group.
You could still hit a baseball, by the way. If it wasn't for big-time rival Brian Anger, you would be the man in the home run derbies, I believe. Is that not true?
Man, I am the Buffalo Bills of the media home run derby at Riders Field every summer. I've finished second every time. I've made it to the final round. They go from like 10 to 4 or 5. I don't even know. 10 to 5, I think, and then they go down to 2. And I've been in the final 2 every year, gentlemen. Final 2, but I have not finished first. I have not won. We've raised a ton of money for charity. I think I passed like 15 grand in terms of hitting a baseball for charity, and that's a huge shout out to Reliant as a partner in that whole deal. But winning that trophy is it's on my mind now, and we're in the middle of July, and we're not going to be able to hit baseballs again until next May or June or whenever the event's going to be at. In the middle of the summer. So I'm going to get to the cages a lot over the next 7, 8, 9 months to get ready to try and win that thing, because I'm tired of losing in the final round. It's been ridiculous. I'm the only one that's hit a regulation homer. I hit one over the actual wall at Riders Field, and I still can't win the derby because I just can't get out of my own way at times.
And that final, you're going to get it. You're not going to be like Buffalo. You're going to get it. Watch for it.
I hope so. Or if I am like Buffalo and I lose for a 4th straight time, I might just let somebody else hit in the future. Let somebody else get a try at it.
If you could have any non-GM job with the Dallas Cowboys, would you keep the one you're with, or is there one like in the front office or something you'd rather take?
That's a good question. I mean, I love what I do. It really, and even in the media side of things, when, like I said, I grew up in a sports family. I fell in love with the media side of sports too, creating videos and content and producing shows and writing and all these different elements of it. The only thing that I would want to do more is a career goal of mine is to be the voice of a professional franchise. So it'd be the opportunity to call games on a regular basis and provide play-by-play and provide that soundtrack for the future and the current and the era of Dallas Cowboys football. Of course, we've got an all-star Hall of Famer in his own right in that chair currently, and I would never do anything to go against Brad and to diminish what Brad Sham has done. But that would be the chair. That would be the chair that I would love to sit in one day. Hopefully, I'll get the opportunity to. Hopefully, a long way down the road, I'll get the chance to do that. But that would be the one spot for sure.
You have to beat him in a home run derby.
I think I got him in that one. I love Brad, but I think I got you there.
Dude, y'all kill it during the preseason. Honestly, because like years past, like preseason, Cowboys don't usually have too many players like they want to like show off and all that. But y'all's show is just so inviting for everyone to watch and all that. It's super fun to watch everything get broken down.
I appreciate it.
But so this, as a Cowboys fan, we've watched many heartbreaks, and it's everything just well, at least my lifetime has sucked. Well, what is your biggest Cowboy what if?
Ooh, what if? There are a lot of those. I mean, you can go back to the 90s and like, what if Jerry did not get rid of Jimmy, and what would have happened in that third, the quest for the three-peat and trying to get there, and would they be the only team to have a three-peat? Like, all that stuff is crazy. I'll stay a little bit more recent. The Dez caught it game just sticks out to me. I mean, that team was so good. And I think 2014 may have been a better team. And even I asked Barry Church about this, like which one of those teams was better. And he tends to lean 2014, but that Giants team was legit. You felt like you got beat by the Giants in that game. And it was weird. And I know there was kind of some craziness with that game too. But the fact that you can point to a particular play in that Green Bay game that would have gotten you to an NFC title game, that would have put you in that opportunity to go to a Super Bowl, and with the roster that I thought had the ability to do so, that's the one that sticks out to me as the biggest what if. Because I mean, they were firing all cylinders, they were winning a ton of football games, and you just felt like there was a chance there. And that 2014 game was, I'm sorry, I mixed it up. 2007 was the Giants game. Yeah. 2014 is Dez caught it. That's where I'm at. 2014 was the team, and that's what Barry told me, was like that was our chance. That was the team we had. So I tend to go back to that moment in 2014. The Dez caught it, and that's where it the biggest what if for me.
Well, when you think of the Cowboys, who's the first player that comes to mind?
Ooh, Isaiah Stanback. No, that's our co-host on Talking Cowboys. Yeah. I love Isaiah. No, I grew up loving to watch Darren Woodson play and DeMarcus Ware play. Those were kind of the two guys that I like just gravitated toward. Terrell Owens, when he was there, was another one that I loved. I loved watching Jason Witten because he was just a bring your lunch pail to work type of guy, and I always respected guys like that. And so I know that's 4 answers to your question, but those were kind of the guys. Like Darren Woodson's my all-time favorite Cowboy. Is he the best Cowboy ever? No, but he's a guy that he did it the right way. He consistently showed up when his team needed him in different spots. He was a Swiss Army knife sort of player. And then post-career, he's been nothing but the same guy as he was all the way through. Like, he's just a genuine human being, and he's done a lot of stuff in the community and stuff that I've seen too. And so I tend to say Darren Woodson, and that's why I want him to be in the Hall of Fame so bad, because he deserves to be there. And I think he will be there one day, but the fact that it's taken this long is starting to get really annoying because he needs to be in it, and that's kind of where I would lead.
The crazy thing about Darren Woodson is we've done Cowboys Beef now 3 times. We have Shane Carter, Eric Chiafalo, and now you on. Mm-hmm. Every one of them has mentioned Darren Woodson when this question is asked. That's
interesting.
How great he is.
Yeah, that's Woodson. Pretty wild.
He's amazing. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Would he be on your Cowboys Mount Rushmore?
No, and that's kind of what I was leading to. Is he the best Cowboy of all time? Probably not. My Rushmore would probably. So I'm going to do players and coaches. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I can do both. Yeah. I mean, you got to start it with Tom Landry, right? The fact that he coached as long as he did and was the pretty much the man that started it all. I know they've got GMs and owners and things like that too, But I mean, Gil Brandt needs to be in consideration, but I'll just throw Tom Landry in there, and he'll kind of represent for both of those guys because I think they kind of worked hand in hand a lot of the time. From a player standpoint, Emmett, I mean, he's the all-time leading rusher. It's hard to not put Emmett on the Mount Rushmore. Roger, because he was the quarterback that helped really build this brand and build this thing into a Super Bowl contender whenever he arrived, and the way he was able to put them on the map so early on was the reason why they are as big of an organization and have as much of a rich history as they do. And then, man, I'm struggling with the last one. The last one's tough.
Tough.
Because there's so many. I mean, you could go Mike here. You could go Pearson. You could go. You know what? I'll go Bob Lilly. The first draft pick, and he ended up being an all-time great. What was it? 7 All-Pros or 7 first-team All-Pro nominees and stuff like that. I mean, that's incredible what he was able to do. But man, that fourth one's tough because you got just guy after guy after guy after guy that you could put on there, and that's where I'll put it. I'll put Bob Lilly, Tom Landry, Roger, and Emmett. That's kind of where I'll have it.
That's a great 4. There's so many. Jimmy's another tough one because he wasn't there long, but so dominant in his short span.
Yeah, you could put him there. You could put. I mean, I helped with a documentary a couple years ago on Chuck Howley. People forget about Chuck Howley and how incredible he was. I mean, D Ware is going to go into the Hall, or I mean, is in the Hall of Fame. You know, like D Ware's up there too, and I'm trying to think of who else wide receiver wise. I mean, it's CeeDee Lamb. He could be. I would love for CD to be in that consideration one day.
That would be amazing.
Oh yeah.
See, we're being all positive, but I'm about to bring it all the way down.
Bring it down, Brenden.
Oh, dude, I will. Who is the most overrated Cowboy of all time?
Tony Dorsett.
Oh wow!
Oh, look at him!
No,
Look at him!
He's saying
I'm totally
that
kidding.
right.
I'm saying it because his jersey in the background. I think Tony's incredible too. That same conversation. If Emmitt Smith wasn't a part of that conversation, then I think Tony Dorsett would be in the Mount Rushmore-esque sort of conversation. Most overrated is tough because the first one that comes to mind, and people will probably kill me for this, is a recent one, and it's Dez. Just because the playoff success wasn't necessarily there. He had 7,000 yards receiving though, it's hard for me to really put him there, but he made 3 Pro Bowls and 1 All-Pro team.
Yeah. He had a 3-year stretch that was really great.
Yeah. And then the rest of it was okay,
Yeah.
And maybe that's just because I wanted more out of Dez. Like I wanted a longer run from Dez. I don't know if I would put him as number 1. I swear there's probably somebody I'm forgetting. I have seen there was a stat the other day that I saw with Bullet Bob Hayes where he played 13 career playoff games and he ended up with 50 yards receiving only twice out of those 13 playoff games. And if you're not going to have the success in the bigger moments, then I'd have a hard time throwing you in that mix. Now, he was incredible in the regular season. He had 1,000-yard receiving seasons. He had receiving or rushing, whatever, one of the two. And he was a weapon because of his speed. But it'd be hard for me to put him just solidified on that list. That's a tough question. That's a tough one to answer overall. Overrated. What were some of the guys that Shane and Eric mentioned?
Eric said Jason Witten.
I don't know if he did it for so long.
Yeah, he basically was like he's a compiler, and I was like, okay, interesting. And whenever I think Jason Witten, I think the helmet coming off, and there's just that Dez is my second favorite Cowboy of all time, but I think overrated's fair because he never worked enough himself to be a technician. That when he couldn't out-athlete everybody like he did those 3 years, he wasn't the same guy. So I think
Yeah.
that's fair, even though I love him. Objectively, I think that's a fair answer.
Yeah, I think I would throw him up there. I'm going to go with Bob Hayes because I just looked up the stat again. Here, the stat is 13 career playoff games. He only had 50 yards receiving twice, and he only had 2 receiving touchdowns in those playoff games. So that's tough. And then the kind of the article I was looking at talks about how he didn't finish seasons very strong. He didn't like cap it off the same way. Of course, I wasn't around for any of that, but the way he was able to do there, and he had only 2 1,000-yard seasons back whenever he, of course, had to go a long way to get 1,000 yards. He only had 2 of them, so I think that's probably my answer. But even then, like overrated, he's an incredible player and an all-time great at that.
That's what makes the question tough.
Yeah.
I believe our guy Shane said Tony Romo was his most overrated player. So,
oh, that's right.
Yeah, I think Tony, because of the lack of playoff success, and honestly, if Dak doesn't have any success himself in the playoffs from what he already has, he would be in that conversation too. I think both of those guys pretty mirrored. They were great at certain times, but if you can't do it when it matters most, it's the same thing with Bob Hayes. That I just threw it out there. I would throw both of them in that conversation for sure.
all right. So Mr. Bullet Bob Hayes is your most overrated Cowboys player. Who's your most underrated player of all time?
Underrated?
Yeah.
Goodness. I'll go back to Chuck Howley. The more I got to learn about his career and his accomplishments and what he was able to do through really thick and thin, came from a small town in West Virginia. I'm going to look up the exact number so I can cheat here on how much he did. I mean, he was a 5-time first-team All-Pro every year from 1966 through 1970. Was a second-team All-Pro in 1971. Went to 6 Pro Bowls in that time. Was a Super Bowl MVP. Everybody forgets about that one. He was a Super Bowl champion in Super Bowl VI. He was the only Super Bowl MVP from a losing team. I mean, it's really an incredible resume that he was as good as he was. I'll say most underrated, and he finally is getting his due to go to the Hall of Fame, to be in Canton, and to finally be enshrined the way that he has. I would say it's Chuck Howley.
All right, so now the tough question is, and I think I know where you're going to go.
The tough questions?
But is Dak overrated or underrated?
I think he's underrated, and the reason being, one, his career story isn't done yet. That's what I keep reminding people. If it does end up, like, let's say his career does end tomorrow, God forbid, and this is the story of his career all the way through, I think I would put him on an overrated list, just because he had all the promise as an early career guy, 16 and 18, and the way he came into the league and the way he set it ablaze, the near MVP season he had in 2023. I mean, all of those things showed that he had what it took, and he never got there. So that would be the overrated side. Mm-hmm. But you guys tell me, I mean, who is overrating Dak Prescott? I mean, across the country, even whenever he had the season that he did in 2023, people tend to write him off before things get started because of what happened in the playoffs a couple times. And I mean, you guys have watched those playoff games as much as I have, or maybe even more at times. And those playoff games weren't always his fault. It wasn't always his situation. Sometimes, I mean, he went toe to toe with Aaron Rodgers in 2018, toe to toe with the dude. And Aaron just got him at the end. That was who had the ball last sort of situation. And it happened to be Aaron Rodgers. So for me to sit there and say that Dak Prescott is overrated, that would make me say that everybody else out there, or at least a good number of people out there, are highly vaulting Dak Prescott, that they're putting him all the way up at the top of the list. They're not. People have never put Dak Prescott at the top of the list. So I think he's underrated. I think he's a better quarterback than most people make him out to be. I think at times he's struggled with weapons. I mean, you could argue going into this season is the best group of wide receivers he's ever had. Best group of pass catchers he's ever had, with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Jake Ferguson. I mean, those are 3 guys right there that you could build a team with. Then you've got Jalen Tolbert, you got Cavante Turpin, you've got some of these other weapons on the outside, like a Jonathan Mingo or Ryan Flanoy or whoever else is going to make the team. You've got all these guys that can make it happen, that are perfectly slotted where they need to be because of the trade for George Pickens. So if that's the case, and this is the best group of wide receivers, I know Amari was here, and I know they overlapped with CD a little bit and Amari, but I would argue that this is the best group, complete group of pass catchers they've had with Dak Prescott. And if that's the case, then that's not a great calling card around him. So I'm interested to see how he does this year coming off of the injury, but it's tough for me to say he's overrated when nobody overrates him at this point in time.
Yeah, the games that do it for me are the two Niners playoff games where they totally put the blame on Dak Prescott and everything, and I'm like, or they just lost to a better team who then went up and beat the MVP, and the MVP played worse than Dak did in both games.
Yeah.
All you hear is about Dak lost to the Niners. And I'm like, yeah, watch what that defense did to the reigning MVP that year, 2 straight years after we lost to him.
Yeah, so that 22 game, the one at home, or was that 21? I get them mixed 21. Up. But the 21 game, whatever game was at home, he played his ass off in that game. He did everything he could in that moment and just couldn't get it done. I think there's a lot to be said about those games, and just like you said, better defense, better team. The roster was way better for San Francisco than it was for Dallas. I mean, plain and simple. So yeah, I will put him very confidently in the the underrated bucket, very confidently, because nobody rates him highly. Nobody gives him the respect he should.
Yeah, Eric only brought up that Dak is overrated strictly contract wise. That was the only thing he did bring up for that.
Yeah, and I can see that contract, but we're 1 year into it, and he earned the contract. A lot of times these NFL teams pay guys for what they're going to do instead of what they have done, and then vice versa. Dak was second in MVP voting in 23. He got hurt last year. Let's let the play, in my opinion, let's let the contract play out before we say it's a win or a lose. And even today, when Jerry on the press conference talked about, he was like, we look what happened. We paid Dak all this money and he got hurt. I hated hearing that, because you paid him the money because he was the second best player in the league voted by the league. He earned that contract because he was incredible in 2023. And so if you're going to sit here and tell me that was not a good move 1 year into it, when he's played 8-9 games, then what's the point of doing contracts in general? What's the point? Let's just do it year to year and then figure it out from there. Let's fantasy football this thing.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the press conference. They had me defending Jerry Jones all day, and I am the ultimate I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to rant. Go to the question. Sorry, I'm not going to do it.
Dude, Michael's about to blow up. So we're talking about Dak, but since, like you said, he is coming off another injury. How much do you trust him being the QB of the future, aka like QB of the next 4 years?
I have all the trust in the world as long as he can stay healthy. That's my biggest thing, is if he's healthy. I mean, Dallas is like a top 5 to 7 team in almost every major statistical category outside of rushing in the NFL when he's available since 2023. So, or since the beginning of 2023, and that includes the pitter-patter start to last year too. So I do think they have what it takes with Dak behind center. And so he's got 3 years left on the deal. I think he can ride that out. He'll be 35, 36 by the time he's done with the deal. Will I think he has will I think he will have the longevity that a Tom Brady or that a Aaron Rodgers did? No, I don't. I don't think he'll last that long in the league. They're different type of quarterbacks. But if I'm going to sit here and say at age 32 that I think he's done and he's injury prone and he's over with, no, I don't think so either. I think he's got some stuff left in the tank, and I think hopefully we'll see it this year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Were injuries to blame for last season, or was it something else in your eyes?
I think injuries played a part. I think they did. It's hard to win with your backup quarterback, and it's hard to win with your You're starting corners continuously on a revolving door between each other. A bunch of back and forth between those injuries. Offensive line wasn't necessarily healthy throughout the year too. Jake Ferguson wasn't healthy. Your wide receivers just weren't great at times last year. I think they were a part of it. I don't want to say they were the cause of last year. And I think a lot of blame is to go on change in leadership on the defensive side. Not that Mike Zimmer was a bad thing, but it was just different, and it took a little bit of time for that defense to find the same swagger that they had under Dan Quinn. Some would argue they never found it, but I think toward the end of the season, we saw at least a glimpse of what that defense could have been if it would have been some level of continuity there. But for the most part, no. I think if you were to say 50% injuries and 50% everything else combined, that's where I would kind of play the blame. Now, still a lot of it on injuries, but I still think there were other elements there.
How much on McCarthy?
I think McCarthy deserved a little bit of the blame. Do I think he had the perfect team in the perfect situation? No. I said this on Talking Cowboys. I mean, for them to move on from McCarthy, I didn't think it was a mistake to move on from him, but I was on the record to say I wouldn't mind giving him another shot, because you don't just have 3 straight 12-5 seasons and have a lot of success in the regular season by just tripping over it and being there. I mean, McCarthy is a good football coach, and I'll still say that today. I love Brian Schottenheimer, and I know we'll probably talk about him in a minute. I love Brian Schottenheimer. I'm happy he was the one that was promoted out of that. And I think there are ways that he's going to take what McCarthy did well and expand upon it. But there were things McCarthy did well. It wasn't all bad in Dallas. Now, there was some game management, some clock management, some roster management things that I think I would have done differently, but I'm not in those rooms. I'm not in those meetings. I'm not in the film studies. But it just didn't seem like it was clicking the way that it should have, even though there was just a lot of stuff thrown into it. And it felt like they kind of gave in. That's what I put on McCarthy is at the end of the year, it felt like they were fighting, but they weren't at the same time. That Cincinnati game sticks in my mind a lot. The way that they fought. And then they had a guy in come off the street and be on special teams. He touches that punt, gives it right back to Cincinnati. They go down, score, win the game. And all of a sudden, everything is just done. I mean, you could feel the entire energy of the entire building, of the entire franchise just done. And that's part of where I see where McCarthy went wrong. And you can't allow – I don't know if he lost the locker room, but they lost the belief. And that's what Brian Schottenheimer is trying to bring back.
Yeah. That Cincinnati game just hurts my soul. That was one of the 2 games. That was one of the 2 games I was there live. I called the blocked punt. I called it, and so I'm over there chugging a drink and screaming just for it to get touched, and so I just sit down heartbroken.
He's why we
Man,
lost.
We were walking down from the press box. Like, we were coming down from the press box in that game, and we were like looking on, like we usually watch it on our phones as we're walking, just to kind of make sure we don't miss anything crucial. And it was like, okay, it's 4th down. We're going to get the ball back. It's going to be fine. And we stopped in the hallway, and it was me, Barry, Isaiah, and Chris Arnold. And we were standing in the hallway watching a monitor like this big, like not a very big monitor, in like the bowels of AT&T Stadium underneath. And I remember looking there and just seeing the Cincinnati, or seeing the punt get touched and Cincinnati recover. And all of us, I mean, it was surrender cobra from everybody. We just were looking at it, watching it, couldn't believe what we were seeing. And then, of course, right after that, they go down and score. And Jamar Chase, what was it, 60 yards or whatever it ended up being to win that game. I mean, you're right. It hurts to even think back to that game, because there was so much intrigue. There was so much hope, not to maybe make the playoffs, but at least give it a run, at least give it a fair try. And it felt like that got robbed because of a couple of bad plays and a couple of unlucky bounces.
You brought up earlier that you haven't really seen much of Schottenheimer because, of course, this is his first offseason as head coach. But do you think he could be an upgrade over McCarthy, or do you think he's just be more of the same?
I think he could be an upgrade. It kind of goes back to what I was alluding to with the belief side. I mean, these players have bought in. It feels different in the building than it ever did under Mike McCarthy. And I was here for another coaching switch from Jason Garrett to McCarthy, and the energy in the building, the belief between each other, the belief between all of it, it all sounds great, and it's kind of like that kumbaya moment, like it all feels good at the moment. It's going to be different when they start playing football games and trying to win against other teams that also have good chemistry and good culture and things like that. But just from what I've seen, it does feel different. Um, I really do think he's attacking it the right way. He's got X's and O's covered, and that was my biggest question mark, was going from a play caller in Seattle where he had success as a play caller. People forget that. I mean, they were top 10 in the league in major categories throughout his 3 seasons as a play caller with Russell Wilson. The whole Russell Wilson Cook situation was orchestrated by Brian Schottenheimer. I mean, he was a huge part of that. And then he went to Jacksonville. Urban Meyer got fired. He called plays in 2021 for Jacksonville. All of a sudden, Trevor Lawrence, or excuse me, not Trevor Lawrence at that point, or was it Trevor? I'm trying to remember who was his quarterback there.
Oh, that's Trevor.
He was balling too. I mean, he played really well for those 4 games. And so I think while there's criticism on the X's and O's side, he hired a great staff that knows and understands that element of it. There's a fun element to his coaching style, energy, hype. I mean, just the smile. I mean, he always has a smile on his face. He connects with people super well. And that's something that we haven't necessarily seen here. I think he's a mixture between the X's and O's of McCarthy and the personality of Jason Garrett. And I think it takes the better part of both of those coaches that came before him, and he meshes it into one guy. So hopefully it's the middle ground they've been looking for.
So you kind of answered my next question, so I'll throw a different one at you. Do you think that this coaching staff as a whole will do a better job of maybe getting more out of their players than the previous regime did?
It's the goal. I think for certain players, yes. Certain players, probably not. Like I look at guys like Cavante Turpin to take a step forward on offense, because Schottenheimer's always been a believer in Turpin. I remember having conversations with Schotty walking away from his offensive coordinator press conferences a couple years back, and asked him about Turpin. He's like, man, we don't use him enough. We don't use him enough. We don't use him enough. He said it multiple times to me. And now it feels like, okay, now he's got an opportunity to use him. Why not try and use him? And so I think he's one of those guys. I think Clayton Adams and Connor Riley, the offensive line coordinators, like Adams is a former offensive line coach, currently the offensive coordinator. Connor Riley, always been an offensive line guy. They're going to benefit Terrence Steele. I think Terrence Steele's going to see a step forward. I think Tyler Guyton's going to see a step forward. I love the talent on the interior of the offensive line, but if you and I are looking at this offensive line, where are the questions? It's the tackles. It's both tackles. And so I think that's kind of been the thought process of this offensive staff this year, is let's block with the interior guys on the run game, and let's get those outside guys going too. So I think it'll benefit those guys a lot. Some of the other guys that somebody's going to see a step down. Somebody is. Maybe it's the edge rushers. Maybe it's guys like Donovan Ezraku. Not a step down for Donovan. He's a rookie. That's a bad way to put it. Like the rotation of edge rushers, they had a ton of success with guys like Quinn and Zimmer. But Matt Eberflus is more of a linebacker and a defensive tackle guy. I think we'll see Osa Odigizua take a step forward, and I think we'll see guys like Kenneth Murray have a lot of success, and Maris Leofau have a lot of success. But maybe those edge rushers aren't as prominent as they have been in the past. Maybe these corners, Duran, Diggs, if he ever comes back, Revel, they may not have the same number of picks because they don't have the same number of pressures, but they're going to stop the run better, and they're going to be more considerable in coverage. So a lot of those things are going to play elements. So it's a give and take game. If you were great at turning everybody into great players and getting the best out of all your guys, that's what makes these guys Hall of Fame coaches. I don't know if I can put a Hall of Fame tag on any of these guys that are on this roster yet. They go and win games? Sure, let's talk about it. But going into the first season with a rookie head coach, there's going to be a step forward in some areas, and there's going to be a step back in some areas as well.
I feel like you answered my question right there, so I wanted to ask you another one, so I'm going to flip this anyway. Typically, press conference, in the Jason Garrett era and the Mike McCarthy era, we kind of leaned on Jerry Jones to give you the "we need stuff to talk about" type of thing. With Schottenheimer, I feel like, do you feel like maybe you would like to have Schottenheimer his own instead of like we need Jerry clicks because these other coaches are kind of boring? You're like, I'd rather focus on and let Schottenheimer have his press conference because I think we get enough info out of him. And Jerry, I don't want to say a distraction, you work for him, but maybe separate their conferences and get a little of each.
You should have been doing that a long time ago, Mike.
I agree.
There's
so much.
There's a lot of that we should have been doing a long time ago. And that's the thing about McCarthy is he knew how to say a lot without saying a whole lot, I mean, there's a lot of guys in the building that do that. I won't say names specifically, but there are a lot of guys within the building that know how to say a bunch of stuff without saying a whole lot of anything at all. Jerry is one of the guys that likes to do that, but he sprinkles in the media lore and the media fun too. Like he throws in the different quotes and the tidbits that he knows that these national media sources and that these analysts are going to pick up and run with. And so you got to be able to sort through that and find the real. Schottenheimer, at least at the moment, and it is the offseason, the headlines don't carry the same amount of weight as they will in week 14 and 15 when you're trying to win a division, you're trying to win a lot of games. But the Schottenheimer press conferences have been ball. I mean, he's a ball coach, and he likes to talk ball, and you can kind of see that from time to time. And I love hearing him speak. The more I hear him speak, the more belief that I have that he's going to be a legitimate force as a head coach. So I'm excited to see where it takes steps forward. I do think it's going to take some time. I don't think it's all going to happen right at the beginning. And as time goes on, I don't know if he'll stay the same in the press conference. He may try and hide more things and try and give you other things and try and deter you away from it. So we got to be careful on how to decipher all that. But right now it seems like he's pretty much shooting us straight. I mean, he's telling us what's going on. He's been very complimentary of the media around us, and maybe that's part of his plan. And then he's going to shut the door once the season starts. I mean, we'll see this week really how he handles it all. But everything he's talked about, we've seen in these OTA practices and these mini camp practices. We'll see what happens when we get on the practice field in Oxnard.
Excited.
Yeah, I think Mike was more alluding to the less puppeteering going on for the head coaches.
You're going to see that still, I think. And I don't think, honestly, and this is credit to Mike, I don't think he was really in that mindset at all. I don't think there were a lot of times where he didn't want certain things to happen and they didn't, like he had a lot of say in this building.
Well, are you most excited for the offense, defense, or the new coaching staff?
Ooh. The third one on that list would be the defense for me. I'm a little concerned at times. We'll talk about that. The offense, man, I'm really excited about this offensive line. Like I said, I'm really excited about the weapons. The one concern I have is the running game. I'm worried about how they're going to run the football and who's going to emerge. It doesn't mean that somebody can't emerge, but I'm concerned on how they're going to run the ball. So I'll say the offense just because, but the coaching staff's real close right there with them because I really do like what they've done from the coaching staff element. I like Shimko at quarterback coach. I like Clayton Adams a lot. I think bringing in a former head coach, even though he never had a ton of success as a former head coach, but he had a lot of success as a DC. That same recipe happened with Dan Quinn. Bring in a guy like Matt Eberflus that can have some experience on that defensive side. I think that'll help, but I'm just concerned about how they're going to piece it all together.
Yeah, you mentioned you're excited for the offensive line. Is there another group that you're excited for heading into camp?
Oh, the wide receivers for sure. I'm, I'm super pumped, man. I think having 2 1s like that, and I've always been a fan of Pickens X's and O's wise, and I've said it before, like that would be huge to have a guy like that, a deep ball threat, a contested ball guy, somebody that like doesn't need to have a tight win or a big window to catch the football. Because you've got CD that can do that, you've got Tolbert that can kind of do that, but what George Pickens does well and what his big calling card is something that nobody on your offense can do. And so now you have that. Now you have that opportunity. It opens everything else up. It allows Jake Ferguson to continue to be the safety blanket that can occasionally hit for the big play. Think about like Sam Laporta's role in Detroit's offense. Put that with you've got him behind guys like Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sam Laporta is the third option, but you can use him in a number of different ways. That's Jake Ferguson for me this year because now they've got 2 legitimate threats outside of him. Instead of him being the number 2 option, he's the number 3. Speaking of number 3, Jalen Tolbert, who had 7 touchdown grabs last year, which is not a number to sneeze at. And while he probably wasn't fit to fill a number 2 role in a wide receiver room, he's now the number 3 role in a wide receiver room and probably the 4 role option overall. I love this receiving core. I think he fits perfectly as a wide receiver 3. I think you've got a couple of gadget guys outside of that, like Mingo and Brooks and Turpin, Flanoy, whoever else you want to throw into that mix that you can have a lot of success with. I'm pumped about this receiver group. As long as they can block up in front, like I think they will, and Dak can sling it around with a little extra oomph and a little extra velocity, I think these wide receivers are going to have a big year.
I'm trying not to add too much because I do that too often. But man, if
Me too.
Mingo could break out, Lord, the way he blocks, and I mean, he gets open more than people think. He just doesn't seem to get a lot of throws. Now, he doesn't have this stuff, so I'm not saying, oh, he's this great guy and it's all the quarterback's fault. But if he could find a way with Dak, the way Cedric Wilson has, the way Randall Cobb bounced back, if he could find a way to be that guy, the way he blocks and his ability to be a Pickens light, possibly, if you look out, nasty, man. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about the 17 grabs on 42 targets from last year. I'm a little concerned on that. I mean, that's a lot of targets to only have 17 grabs. And I mean, we watched a bunch of them. They weren't great targets a lot of the time, and they aren't all his fault. But I need a little bit more from you. And where are the targets going to come from, too? That's my question. Like, if he's going to have a breakout year, that means Pickens and Lamb and Ferguson are sharing their targets with Jonathan Mingo. I don't know if I want that. As much as I think Mingo can play a role and I think he can be a gadget guy and you can use him in certain situations, I don't want the targets that could be going to Pickens and Lamb and Ferguson to go a different direction unless it's for a specific reason.
No, I'm on team takeover for Tolbert. I'm sorry, but I want the blocking. That's the only reason. I have nothing against.
Fair.
I love Mingo's blocking, but I hope Tolbert gets another 7 touchdowns and kills it.
Yeah.
So see what happens when you let me get going. I get us distracted. What group concerns you the most? I know you talked running back, but there's DT, the injuries to the corners. What's the spot for you?
Yeah, all 3 of those are kind of a question mark for me. I'll say just because I just talked about the running back position, I'll say corner. Just because we don't know when Diggs is coming back. I mean, you saw what they talked about today. It wasn't necessarily a bright and sunshiny moment for Trayvon Diggs in that press conference in Cali. And Revel, he's of course coming off of a major injury. You look at all your corners. Let's talk about the top 5 corners, shall we? Going into the year, right? You've got Trayvon Diggs, Savone Revel, Deron Bland, Kalen Carson. And I'm trying to think of one more guy there. Who am I missing?
Maybe Tyree Elam, Josh Butler, the way he played.
Elam's been good. 4 of those 5 guys are coming off of a major injury last year. 4 of those 5. And Elam, I don't even know what his background is. Was he hurt last year? He might have been. I don't know. Butler can be thrown in there. He's been banged up too. when it comes to those guys, how much confidence do you have that you're going to have all three guys there? Izzy, I don't know if Izzy's going to be even in the conversation by this time at the end of the month.
Oh man.
He might be if they need guys, if they need bodies, he might be. And that's kind of my question is where are the bodies coming from? Who are you going to put where? And we tried to see a little bit of that during OTAs and minicamp. You didn't really get a great look at it. And we probably won't until we get into Saturday and Sunday this week too. So that's where I'm most concerned is corner because, oh man, that secondary could be really rough if the safeties aren't on top of their stuff with Hooker and Wilson, and then you've got some corners that are liabilities out there and or injuries start stacking up. That's when we're going to get really, really thin there really quick.
If you could have one player to break out, who would it be?
Ooh. Can I choose one offense, one defense? Is that allowed,
Yes.
Brenden? Can I do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, sure, you can.
Just because I asked. I'm going to go offense. I'll do Javonte Williams. I mean, how sweet would it be for Javonte to just go off? And he's only 26, and you can kind of get him under like a contract thing, and he's kind of loyal for the second chance opportunity. And he shows what he kind of showed early in his career in Denver, where they were thinking he was going to be the running back there for a long time. If you can find a little bit of that, and your run game's firing on all cylinders, and you pair it with the wide receivers that you've got here. I mean, how fun would that be? And I think I could probably cheat a little bit here and say like, I want Jayden Blue or Phil Maffa to be the guy, like, and for them to have a breakout year because they're rookies and you have them under contract for 4 years. I feel like that's cheating here because it's not super positive. Maybe Jayden Blue can get there. Kyron Williams did it as a 5th round pick for the Rams a couple years ago where he broke out and he's now a top 10 rusher in football. So it can happen. The defensive side, I need Mozzie Smith to just be a monster. I want Mozzie. Oh yeah, there you go, Ken. Nice, good answer, Ken. You know football. I would say Mozzie just because, goodness gracious, if he's a dude and he turns into like a first round caliber defensive tackle that's just mauling people, which it may not be realistic at this point. We've seen a lot of Mozzie, and it's getting down to the point of like he is what he is, you know. But sometimes it takes defensive tackles a little bit to develop, and we saw some bright spots at the end of last year. I'm not saying it as a prediction that it would happen, but if I could choose one guy to do it, man, he'd be a great one.
Is Mozzie Smith your make or break player for 2025, or is it somebody else?
Honestly, it's probably Trayvon Diggs. I mean, with what we talked about with, or what they talked about, what the front office talked about today in the press conference, if he's not in an ideal situation and he's not starting and he's not playing well, you've invested a ton of money in that resource. You've invested a ton of time, a ton of money into that contract, and you can't necessarily get out of it easy. And nobody's going to want to trade for him either. You're not going to get anything in return. I mean, that's huge to have kind of that big red mark on your defense circled. And whether he's on the field or not, I think if he's off the field again, we've seen that usually they're better with him on the field, and that's going to get real worrisome really quickly if that doesn't kind of come to fruition. So I'll say Mozzie's a make or break guy. I think he's up there. He could be a huge factor, or he could be a huge non-factor. But I'll say Trayvon just for the sake of being different.
The only guy that Jerry took a shot at, just to be clear, I'm not going to rant, but that's the one and only guy he took a shot at, not the other guys. Okay, sorry. I'm not going to do it. What was your favorite off-season move for Dallas this year? Any of them. You could pick from any.
Would you like to take a guess based off of the way I've been talking about it over the last hour or so?
George Pickens.
Yeah, that's it.
Dang.
Man,
I was going to say Miles Sanders.
I love my man. I love the pick for I love the Booker pick. I love the Ezraku pick. I thought they had a great draft. I really do. But no, trading for George Pickens changes the outlook of your entire offense. And I've already gone through it a little bit, so I won't spend too much time on it. But the way that he opens things up for everybody else to be better, and you did it for relatively cheap. I know it's a third round pick, and a lot of people are going to harp on it, especially if it falls through. But this is a risk you're willing to take. If he turns into an incredible player, even for just a year, you're going to get a third round comp pick back next year. You're basically going to pick swap in years is all it's going to end up being. And you had a great receiver for a year. Hopefully, and if it doesn't work out, I'm never going to be one that's going to sit here and say, you shouldn't have made that trade, because in the moment, that's a great trade to make. It's a guy that's available. You went out and got him. It fits the bill of your football team. It helps make guys better across the board. We just hope it works out in a contract year.
I immediately posted, I don't care if it's successful. If George Pickens bombs out and barely plays for us and they fight, it was still a good trade because you tried.
Yep. Well, and we've been clamoring for the front office to do something like this for a long time. And we see Philly do it. You see the Rams do it. You see all these other teams do it. And they go trade for a random guy and he ends up being a dude. The Bills have done it the last couple of years. Like all these other teams that are in the top parts of their league and of their division and all these different elements, you got to make moves like that, and you got to take risks. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And I think this is a risk that was worth taking at the time, and we'll see just how much it was worth it at the end of the year.
You miss
every. Do you think the Amari Cooper trade was worth it?
Yes. That was tough because that was a first round pick. And I mean, your second round pick that year kind of felt like a first round pick, and that didn't really work out for you either with Tristan Hill. Yes, because I mean, it's hard to say that it wouldn't have worked out the same way. I mean, Amari had a couple really good years there. And so I'm not gonna hate on that one. That was a first round pick, though. Remember, I mean, this is a third round pick, and I'm still saying that one was worth it. This third round pick could be extra worth it by the end of it all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Agreed, 100%. Yeah. Oh, what? Oh, so I'm sorry. That's Brenden. My bad.
You're good. Last year left standards so low for like this thinking front office is going to do anything, and so this year is seeing all these moves. Because most teams are like, oh, that's okay. Other than George Pickens, that's a big move for any team. They're like, okay, cool. You got Jack Sanborn, you got all this. What grade do you give this offseason?
It kind of sounds like you're down on the offseason there, Brenden.
I'm scared of having like, oh, dude, it's an A, it's an A. But everyone's like, that's like it's like league average offseason.
It's not an A. I'll give it a straight B, and the reason why is because, like you said, they made a great move in Pickens. I liked their draft, like I outlined there. They still have questions in three major spots for me: defensive tackle, corner, running back. Those are three spots that I feel like, and you can maybe get by with having questions at running back and defensive tackle. You can maybe get by that because you've got a good three tech in Osa. You've got some rotational guys that kind of fill in. I like what they did at linebacker. You talked about Sanborn. I think he's going to be an underrated signing this offseason. Same with Kenneth Murray. I think Kenneth Murray could have 100 tackles this year. I mean, he's going to be a good linebacker. He fits the Flus system really well, and they really do like those guys a lot. And I've enjoyed watching them play. Kyer Elam looks like he could be something legitimate too. That was a trade. Was it the over the top incredible moves of incredible lore that are going to reign in Cowboys history as the best offseason ever? No, it's not, and it's not going to be even close to that. So I won't even give it a B plus. I'll give it a B with the opportunity to maybe become an A minus. I mean, let's say Pickens works out great. Let's say some of these linebackers turn out great, but then the cornerback room is tough and the running back room never really gets going. I mean, we're going to look back at this offseason and say, man, close, but just didn't get it done.
Yeah. Just the interesting thing about this offseason, it was nice to see the Cowboys making moves early. Maybe not making like blockbuster type moves, but for them to be aggressive really was nice.
I mean, they were active. That's the thing. They were making those trades. They were making a couple signings here and there. They were far more active this offseason. And I can tell you from experience, because I have to report on all of them whenever they come in. And we had a lot more to talk about this summer than we did last summer for sure.
Yes, sir. All right, Kyle, fill in the blank here. My relationship with the Cowboys is blank.
Oh, that's tough. I work for the team.
Exactly.
Strictly business. No,
Good answer, actually.
yeah, I may stick with that. I said it as a joke, but I might stick with that. Let's say oh gosh, how do I put this? I'm like worried for my employment.
Not get yourself fired, sir.
No, I'm not. I honestly, like, they've let us speak pretty freely across the board too, which is good. I'll say it's in flux. Our relationship is in flux, and it's not because I'm not going to be a fan or whatever it ends up being, but there's a lot riding on this year in a number of ways. New coaching staff, one quarterback that's been injury prone, but has been known to have some success in the past. A lot of elements of this team could look very, very different in 2 to 3 years, just based off of what can happen here in 2025. So I'm going to say influx, just because, like, there's a lot of stuff that's up in the air at the moment, and if it settles in, it might settle in great. It's like putting a puzzle piece together where you're like hovering it over, and then when you actually push it down, it's either going to slide into that spot perfectly and you're going to have the puzzle piece connected and you're like, oh, I got it right. Or you're going to line it up and it's going to look good and you're going to press it down as it doesn't just quite fit in that hole the way that you thought it would. So you got to take it away and try another one there. That's kind of what this offseason and what this team feels like going into training camp. You got to see if that fit actually is a fit. And if it's not, then you got to move on and you got to try and find something new.
All right, last thing for you get to squash your beef. This has been a tough one for everybody. Can you come up with a Cowboys mantra for 2025? What would be yours?
That is tough. A Cowboys mantra for 2025.
Influx.
Influx. That's almost as bad as some of the ones that they have been doing.
Oh,
man, last year was not good.
Terrible.
The rooted one, I'm not there for that one. You know what? So Brenden did a nice job of filling me in on the What's the Beef segment. I'm going to use this to transition into the What's the Beef segment. How about that? I'm going to pull a Kyle Yeomans move. I'm going to pull a transition on a show that's not even mine.
I love
it. The mantra that I would use is embrace. Man, I'm trying to figure out how I could word this here. Embrace the struggle. That's kind of like what I would name it as. And I'll explain a little bit more on that. Embrace the struggle, and there's reason behind it. But I'll save it for Squash the Beef. I don't know if you guys lead into something specifically. Go ahead and
I'll lead it in. Go ahead, I'll set him up.
Kyle, you've got 2 to 5 minutes, my friend, to squash any beefs or air any grievances you have with Cowboys player, content creators, front office, coaches, and everything between, sir.
All right. Here's the thing. And I need everybody to listen up here, because this isn't just on players. This isn't just on coaches. I think it's on fans too. And I'm saying this from the heart of a lifelong Cowboys fan myself. We need to stop pretending like this drought. Stop pretending like this drought either is a thing of the past or it's a current thing. We need to stop pretending like it doesn't matter. It totally matters. It absolutely matters. I've been on this earth since May 6th of 1996. I'm nearly 30 years old. I have 3 children. I have a mortgage. I have a couple of really great friends in this business, and some of them are named Paul, Brenden, and Mike. I've got plenty of friends around the business. I have not been on this earth long enough to see a Cowboys Super Bowl. So when I hear of coaches, I won't name coaches, and I wouldn't even throw Brian Schottenheimer in this mix because he hasn't had that conversation yet. But when I hear coaches and I hear front office members, Steven talked about it this offseason, say that the curse doesn't matter and it doesn't apply to us. And it's not our curse. It's the curse of everybody that came before that. That's all wrong. That's all wrong. Every time there is a what if moment, we talked about those earlier. The 2014s, the 2007s, the 2016s, the 2018s, the 2023s, the 2021s, whatever it ends up being, all that was happening. Every time there's a loss, it adds to the weight of the next team that's going to do it. And it's going to make it harder mentally and physically to do it, the next team that's going to ultimately get it done. So instead of trying to run from it, instead of trying to hide it or trying to downplay it, embrace it. Embrace the fact that you've struggled for 30 years. Embrace the moment to say, we're going to be the ones to end that. We're going to be the ones to throw that all away and to ultimately say, I'm done with this drought. I'm going to do something about it. I can't wait for the moment when somebody steps up to a podium and says that. Jason Garrett didn't say it. Mike McCarthy didn't say it. Brian Schottenheimer hasn't said it. And none of these players have said it. Even Dak, and as much as I love Dak and some of these other leaders, some of these guys are saying, you know what, that just doesn't apply to us. It absolutely does. So stop trying to hide from it and embrace that struggle, embrace that opportunity, because you are the only ones, the 53 men that are a part of the Dallas Cowboys in 2025 are the only 53 people that have a chance to end that streak and to end that drought. Stop hiding from it and attack it head on. Pretend like it's a motivation. Pretend like it's something that can make a difference, because they're the ones that can make that difference. And I'm tired of people trying to throw that aside. Fans are the better ones at trying to embrace it and say, man, we just haven't gotten it done. Things happen, the drought, the curse, whatever you want to call it. Forget about all that. The 53 men and the coaches that are on there have to figure out a way to attack it the right way and attack it head on, or else it'll never be done. It'll never get won again, because with every loss in the playoffs or every loss in the regular season from this point forward, it just adds more and more pressure, more and more weight. And I've seen it in 21 and 22 and 23 with those playoff teams that had every talent piece in the world. They just cracked under pressure. Well, there's one way to avoid cracking under pressure, is to take the pressure off of it and embrace it. And that's what I say. Embrace the struggle.
Damn. As my brother said, thanks for watching, Mitchell. Damn right. You know what? Yes. Have a player stand up there and go, yeah, there is pressure on us, because all the fans have been waiting all this. We need to be the ones. You can see when Green Bay in the one playoff game where they come in and like, oh, they're undefeated at home this season. We're going to knock these. So you need to take any motivation you can. Use that. Great players, great teams use everything for motivation. I could not agree more, Kyle. Great beef.
So the mantra is in the drought. Is that right, Kyle?
Embrace the struggle.
Embrace the struggle.
Embrace the struggle, and then we'll see if the drought ends or not. It may not work immediately. It may take a couple swings at it. But that's the thing, is like, every time a coach says that, and I get it, it's coach speak, and they may not say that thing behind closed doors, but every time I hear it, and I remember McCarthy specifically, there was a press conference where he was like it doesn't apply to us. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't do this or that or the other. And then Steven said it this offseason. He was like, what's the drought been? Like, you need to know the drought. Yeah. You need to know what it's been. And so, yeah, I think you just got to find a way to use that as motivation and to piece it together, because, of course, running from it is not going to help, and it hasn't helped at this point.
That's such an awesome one, man. Kyle, thank you so much for your time and coming on, man.
I can't believe you guys over an hour, man. Thank you. That's awesome.
It's a little hot in this room, and maybe I got a little worked up, man. I gotta calm down. I'm sweating a little bit. No, this was fun, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Kyle, before we get you out of here, just remind the people where they can find you on Twitter.
I'm better at it now. There you go. At Kyle_Yeomans right there. I've got a lot of content coming out over the next couple of weeks. Really excited about the season. Gonna have some college football stuff too. I'm about to. I won't say too much, but I'm about to sign a college football contract, which will give me some games this year for play-by-play on that side of things. So we'll do some. Of course, those that watch the draft show, I'll get some head-on stuff. I know I'll have a Texas game, SMU, Miami. A couple of those games for college football too. So really excited about that. And then, of course, all the Cowboys content, talking Cowboys in the draft show.
Yes,
just added you on Instagram, by the way.
Oh, nice. There you go. Like I said, I'm going to have some stuff. I'm going to have some calls. I'll have some like radio and TV calls, and I'm going to have some Cowboys content stuff that I'm gonna make. We're gonna figure it all out.
Guys, make sure to follow Kyle on Instagram and on Twitter. Mike, where can they find you on Twitter?
CD Piglet, guys, nice and easy.
Brenden, let them know.
I like to point out that Cowboys Beef is over because we're not topping this. But yeah, you can find me at Brenden_Smith26.
Guys, thank you for joining us. We will see you next week. I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15.
That was